We come with nothing. We go with nothing. What does it mean? This universe is going to make sure that you're going to go with nothing, which means at some point before it's time for you to go, you will be faced with the fact of learning the necessity of letting go of what you have attained in this lifetime. And if you have not understood that this is going to come, it's a very, very hard awakening. It's a very painful awakening to realize that you have spent 70 years, 80 years following your goal, and now there is no other choice. You have to let go. You've built a life around things that feel permanent: status, money, relationships, identity. But underneath it, there's a quieter fear, losing what makes you feel safe. When he says you must let go, he's not talking about objects. He's talking about dependence. The real question isn't what you own. It's what you can survive losing, because life will remove things from you. The only variable is whether it breaks you or frees you. When you hear let go, it doesn't mean throw your life away. It means stop making your peace conditional, because life will remove things from you. So the real variable is what happens inside you when it does. Does it break you or does it free you? If you have the possibility of attaining everything that you were speaking about, you are absolutely happy to do so. You can own everything. It's never about promoting to have this is not good. No. But to have attachment will have consequence. It's not about what is it that you possess. It's about what of these possessions are possessing you. That's it. But ultimately, it's really up to you. How much do you really want it? And it's going to continue like this until you will ultimately come to the point where you realize that it's an infinite direction of possibilities. They will never run out. But you will still have to figure out what is it that you really want from your life. But I do think that this universe is going to let you realize your lesson in the way how you need it. You're going to have it all. There is something that's going to put you back on track, telling you you need to readjust prey. Owning something isn't the problem. Ownership is neutral. But something changes when your peace depends on it, when your mood depends on outcomes, when your stability depends on control. That's when ownership quietly becomes identity. And identity is fragile, because anything tied to identity feels like survival. So when life removes it, it doesn't feel like loss. It feels like threat. You can own almost anything until it starts owning you. The real question isn't what you have. It's how much of you is attached to keeping it. I make it super simple when it comes to the 5 hindrances. Literally is like this. Whatever appears in our life, if I have my goal set right now, what you are not supposed to do is to witness something. And now if you have the number one sensual desire, sensory desire, what we tend to do is we start to pull things towards us. That's number one. The second thing, what not to do this, is what it all belongs to that family of non-judgment. When ill, will something appears in your life, something you witness, meet a person you don't want to meet, you get a message, whatever it is, and you try to avoid it by doing actions in order to push it away from you. Don't do any of them. Because whatever you try to hold on to, the nature of thing is going to move away from. And whatever you try to avoid and push away from you is just a question of time until it's going to move close towards you. You do this constantly without noticing. You pull what you want: attention, comfort, validation. You push what you dislike: discomfort, awkwardness, uncertainty. But both movements are the same. Both are attempts to control what is happening right now. And every time you reach out mentally or emotionally, you disturb something. You call it stress. You call it anxiety. You call it overthinking. But most of it began the moment you tried to force reality to cooperate with your preference. Stability isn't about eliminating difficulty. It's about reducing unnecessary reaction. The water was calm. You touched it. So that means if you don't want to have a life that is too shaky, don't touch the water. In the moment you touch, your touch is the initiation for the ripples to appear. You want to follow that goal. You want to have it easy along that goal. Don't touch any additional water along your goal. Don't touch it because you like something. And don't touch it because you dislike something. Because when you walk towards goal and you do here and here and here, you're just going to ripple your whole surroundings, which ultimately means your energy is being just drawn away from your initial goal. And ill will is one of these expressions of you don't like something, and then you invest the energy there. You like something, and it draws your energy back to there. And ill will is similar in this category, belonging to this idea of don't push, don't pull. You don't feel drained because life is hard. You feel drained because you're reacting all day. Notifications, conversations, thoughts, memories, predictions. Each one pulls your attention slightly off center. And attention is energy. So when you give it away 100 small times, you don't notice the individual loss. You only feel the fatigue. You think you're overwhelmed by responsibility. But often you're exhausted from constant micro reactions. Every pull, every push, every internal argument. Stability isn't built by doing more. It's built by reacting less. If you want more energy, reduce how often you let the world decide where your focus goes. You have your goal. So your mind is set on the goal. The 5 hindrances now simply describe there are 5 mental states that would actually make it difficult for you to still keep your goal in the mind. The number 1 is called sensual desire. You are too receptive for any type of pleasurable feeling in regards to your 5 senses. You're being too quickly attracted when you see something beautiful. You're too quickly attracted if you smell something tasty. You're too quickly distracted when you have physical touch. The first hindrance means you are losing the goal already, because in the moment, something pleasurable is being presented to you. Your mind has shifted already. First mental state only means look, be aware of what is it that you are very easily attracted to. It doesn't say it's bad. It doesn't say it's good. It just says how to reach the goal the quickest. Be focused with your energy, meaning be focused with the mind. Don't lose the goal. Notice what that implies. You don't lose direction in one dramatic collapse. You lose it in small, almost invisible shifts of attention. Something feels good and your focus moves. Something feels uncomfortable and your focus moves again. The goal doesn't disappear. It just stops being central. Momentum dies quietly, not through failure, but through distraction. From the moment of waking up, keep the goal in the mind. This is the quickest way of making this goal become real. Number 2, you don't like discomfort. You don't like challenges. You don't like hardship. In that TEDx talk, I described that you're like walking along the path, and then suddenly it starts to rain. But you don't like rain. So instead of you just follow the path, you are starting to make your mind busy about what you don't like. That means the mind starts to shift again, losing the focus of the goal. Hindrance number 1. Hindrance number 2. Actually, you can easily say it like this. This is the goal. 2 things not to do. Spend your time enjoying. Don't do this. Or spend your time rejecting that things are not the way how you imagine them to be. Both of these things, one is you follow pleasure, and the other thing, you're rejecting any challenges. Both of these things to be aware of when it comes to stay focused along the path. God, what he's describing is simple. You have a goal, and then life starts pulling your attention in 2 directions. First, pleasure. Something looks good, feels good, sounds good, and your mind leaves the goal. Second, discomfort. Something feels hard, unfair, or annoying, and your mind leaves the goal again. So it's not good or bad. It's just a focus test. If your attention keeps getting pulled toward pleasure or pushed away from challenge, you don't lose the goal because you failed. You lose it because your mind never stayed with it long enough. Learn to realize in which mental state are you actually finding yourself right now. This is just the recognition, the realization of where you are. The A stands for acknowledge or acceptance. The second one was called ill will, or actually it's called aversion. Denying something, pushing something away from you. Very important right now. Same here. You recognize something inside of you about you, of course. Second one, accepting it, acknowledging it is important. What he's describing is a pause. First, you notice what's happening inside you. Not later, not after you react, but in the moment. Then you stop fighting it. Most people skip both steps. They don't notice the state, and when they do, they immediately try to push it away. That's why the reaction takes over. But if you can see it and allow it to be there for a second, you're no longer trapped inside it. I'm meaning now investigation. Investigation meaning, okay, I see I'm dull. I see I'm restless. Okay, I accept that I have this feeling right now. Investigation meaning, okay, how did I get into this state? Have I been there this morning already in that state of being? No, this morning I really felt good. What happened now, since the morning until now, that put me in this state of restlessness? To who did I talk to? Was it a message that I received? What is it ultimately that led to this feeling of restlessness? So really investigating like a detector, and ultimately the N, it is standing for non-identification, and non-identification meaning try not to identify your being too much with your body and too much with the mind. And if you don't identify with the body and not identify yourself too much with the mind also, you do not identify yourself too much with all the things that you investigated, that you felt like were nourishing your restlessness. What he just gave you is not spirituality. It's discipline. Because most people don't lose their goals in one dramatic collapse. They lose them in unnoticed mental states. A moment of craving, a moment of resistance, a moment of self-doubt. And instead of observing it, they become it. Rain forces you to slow that process down. Recognize the state. Accept that it's there. Investigate what fed it. And refuse to build your identity around it. That last step is the real separation. If you identify with every mood, every reaction, every thought, life doesn't need to force you to let go. You're already being controlled. Non-identification is not detachment from life. It's detachment from the story that keeps you trapped. Being given the gift of living this lifetime right now on earth inside the human body and live it miserably. Live it sad, live it angry, live it in jealousy, live it in internal destruction. Sorry, it just doesn't make sense. It's part of our life. But it doesn't make sense to spend this lifetime in suffering. It's the suffering of not getting what you want. It is the suffering of losing what you love. It's the suffering of different type of things. And now the question is, when that suffering comes, can we ignore it and it just disappears? Do we run away from it? Or what is the way to deal with that suffering? So trying to ignore it, waiting, hoping that that suffering will dissipate by itself is not happening. It didn't happen in my life. It won't happen in your life. Pray, what he's pointing to is uncomfortable. Most people don't suffer because of what is happening right now. They suffer because of what they're replaying. A conversation, a loss, a mistake, a fear of what might come next. And instead of facing the discomfort directly, they postpone it. They distract themselves. They suppress it. They hope time will dissolve it. But unresolved suffering doesn't disappear. It waits. And the longer you avoid it, the more control it gains. Some of you might be suffering. Is your suffering, regardless of where you are trying to hide? You carry it all the time with you. What to do with the suffering? Well, you need to face it. You need to look it in the eye. Whatever is so fearful to you, whatever is challenging you, that is the one in this lifetime to face it. Some people have the ability to face it. Some people do not. Two very important things are missing. Number one, the ability to let go is one very, very big part. The willingness to let go. And number two, to have courage, to face the fear, to face the truth, to face the darkness, to go into the dark, because this is what it's about. God's suffering doesn't stay in one place. You can change cities, routines, distractions, and still carry it with you. Avoidance feels like protection. It isn't. The longer you run from discomfort, the heavier it becomes. That's why he speaks about letting go and courage. Letting go means releasing the attachment that keeps the wound active. Courage means turning toward what you've been avoiding. Most people wait for fear to disappear before they act. It never does. Clarity comes after confrontation, not before it. You don't remove suffering by escaping it. You reduce it by facing it. To discover the purpose of life, to discover the intensity and the greatness of life. In my thinking, there is no alternative than being able to face the darkness and being able to jump into the unknown. But this is nothing that we humans are trained of. This is nothing that we humans are programmed to do in order to jump into the unknown. Because everything that we have grown up in the whole world is not about prepare yourself for the uncertainty. It is build up your illusion of security. This is where the worlds are colliding. Courage and the ability to let go. Everything around us encourages stability, build security, reduce risk, stay within what is predictable. We are taught to see uncertainty as something dangerous. But uncertainty was never optional. It was only hidden beneath structure. Courage is not chasing risk. It is accepting that certainty was never guaranteed. Letting go means releasing the need to control what cannot be controlled. If you refuse to face uncertainty, it doesn't disappear. Make yourself strong. Prepare yourself in this lifetime for the end. Prepare for the end in the now. The end of what? The end of that. But anyway, you're going to lose your identity if you want or not. You don't need to worry about losing your ego, getting rid of the illusion of your I. If you manage to do, it's good for you. If you don't manage to do, it's going to happen anyway. But it's going to happen without your acknowledgement. Very rapidly, from one day to another, it's going to happen. And this is again the truth of the human being. What is the most difficult things for us humans to face? If the status quo is changing too quickly, if we can prepare, everything is easy to take. If something comes too quick, it's difficult. And this is why it makes sense. Prepare for the end. And I'm sorry that all of this sounds so depressive. Maybe it's not. It only sounds depressive. But the great part is something ends. Something new begins. It quietly shapes your limits, and those limits become your life. Change is coming whether you prepare for it or not. Identity changes. Roles change. Strength changes. Circumstances change. The only variable is how you meet that change. If it arrives suddenly, it feels like collapse. If you expect it, it feels like transition. Preparing for the end is not pessimism. It is mental training. It means understanding that what you call me is not fixed. And when something ends, a role, a belief, a chapter, it does not mean everything ends. It means something else begins. The shock of loss is often not about the ending itself. It is about how tightly you are holding on. The lighter your grip, the easier the transition becomes.